Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Crime drama Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective, an episode going back to March 28, 1952, and this is about Mr. Walker's problem.
Bring you another transcribed adventure with Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
Diamond Detective Agency, Mr. Diamond speaking.
Excuse me, I must have the wrong number.
Oh, is that you, Helen?
This is me, Helen.
Oh, well, I thought maybe you might be a client. How are you, dear?
Well, I'm fine, but what's wrong with you?
Wrong?
Yes, what means at Diamond Detective Agency, Mr. Diamond speaking? You usually come on the phone like Roy Rogers and his horse Trigger. How come no slogans?
Well, to tell you the truth, dear, I couldn't think of one this week. Anyway, aren't you the gal who's always after me to get some culture?
This is culture?
Ain't nothing else but. You just want a jaw if you got something important to talk about,
This is Friday, you know.
Happens every week.
Yes, but this is the Friday when if you haven't got a client by noon, we're going for a drive, remember?
By Jove, that's right.
Well, by Jove, it is now 11:43 and 15 seconds, approximately.
Sounds like someone gave you a new...
What does that broken sentence mean? Client walk in?
Shh, quiet. Don't talk so loud, dear. This one looks like he might scare easily. Good morning.
Good morning. Are you Mr. Diamond?
I am Mr. Diamond. Won't you come in?
Said the spider to the fly. I'll hang up, Rick. Call me back if you have time.
All right, dear. Bye.
Bye.
Well, come in, Mr.
Walker. Thomas Walker. I do hope I didn't interrupt your conversation, Mr. Diamond.
Oh, it wasn't important. Just my broker calling to tell me I've been wiped out. But enough of me, Mr. Walker. Let's talk about you.
Would it be all right if I sat down? I'm a little nervous this morning.
Well, you do seem a little worked up over something. Sure. Sit down, Mr. Walker. Sit down anywhere at all.
Thank you. Are you engaged, Mr. Diamond?
Well, not yet, but she's working at it. Just between the two of us, I think if I can hold off through the month of June...
Oh, no, Mr. Diamond. I meant, are you working for anyone on a caper, I believe you call them?
Oh. No. We honest and true private detectives just call them cases. As a matter of fact, you're in luck. I am at liberty to listen to your proposal. That is, if you wish to engage me.
Good. It's taken me some time to work up enough courage to come to a private detective. I don't think I could do it again.
I don't think you could either. All right, Mr. Walker, just what is it that's troubling you?
Well, I hope, Mr. Diamond, that it's nothing more than my suspicious mind. Oh, don't misunderstand me. I'm not by nature a suspicious person, but I have stumbled across something that I think should be brought to the attention of the local authorities.
Then why not bring it to the attention of the local authorities?
Well, because I'm afraid they'll laugh at me.
So you want me to go down and let them laugh at me, huh?
No. At least not right away. Not until after you've confirmed my suspicions or proved them ridiculous. In either event, you will know then what to do.
Well, before you lose me entirely, Mr. Walker, maybe you'd better tell me just what it is you want me to do.
I think the best thing to do is... Yes, I think that would be the best. That way they wouldn't
Remember me, Mr. Walker.
Mr. Diamond, I want you to follow someone. Shadow him is the word I believe you use.
Shadow?
Yes. You do that type of work, don't you?
Oh, well, occasionally. Just who is it you want me to shadow, Mr. Walker?
Carter, I believe his name is. Joseph Carter. He must be the ringleader.
Oh, this Joseph Carter leads a ring?
Well, as I said, Mr. Diamond, these are only my suspicions. If you're going to laugh at me,
now, take it easy, Mr. Walker. I'm just trying to get as much information from you as I can. Who is this Carter fellow, and where can I get in touch with him?
He's a chemist. At least he's supposed to be. And I don't want you to get in touch with him, Mr. Diamond. I just want you to follow him. Oh, it could be disastrous if you spoke to him about my suspicions.
Mr. Walker, you may not believe this, but I don't even know yet what your suspicions are.
And I think it would be best if I didn't tell you.
Oh.
That way you can form your own opinions about what is going on.
Mr. Walker, this is getting tougher as you go along. I don't even know where to find this Joseph Carter.
Oh, I have that all arranged, Mr. Diamond. Rather clever plan, too, if I do say so myself. Huh? You see, I'm meeting him for lunch, and he thinks we're going to talk about his wife.
By Jove, that is clever.
Yes, isn't it? Now, after lunch, that will be around 1 o'clock, I'll drop him off on the corner of First and Elm. Do you know where that is?
Uh-huh.
Good. Now, my car is a blue Essex sedan. When you see it pull around the corner, you be prepared to follow whoever steps out.
Oh, gosh, I haven't done this since the correspondence school sent me my diploma. All right, Mr. Walker, what happens then?
Then, Mr. Diamond, you stay with him night and day. You do have operators who work in shifts, don't you?
Oh, sure.
Oh, good. Now, the important thing is to impress upon your men the seriousness of what they're doing. Under no condition are they to let him out of their sight.
Oh, that's a cinch. Couldn't you give us something a little harder, like following 4 people at the same time?
Well, no. One of them might get suspicious, Mr. Diamond, and that wouldn't do.
Oh.
Now, about your money.
Oh, yes, by all means. My fee is $100 a day in expenses, Mr. Walker. And believe me, you're going to have some...
$100? Isn't that a little steep?
It's too much, Mr. Walker?
Well, no, I suppose not. I'll have to write you out a check. Will $300 be enough? That'll pay you up till Monday.
Well, yes.
By then, you will have cracked this thing. Or written me off as a suspicious old fool.
Now, Mr. Walker, think how few private detectives there would be if no one listened to their clients' suspicions.
There you are, Mr. Diamond.
Yes.
Oh, and here is my card. Both my business and home phone numbers are on it.
Oh, fine. All right, thank you. Walker Plumbing Company? You, Mr. Walker, are a plumber?
Yes. It is surprising, isn't it?
I smiled at him as he went out and then called Helen and broke the sad news. She pouted a little, I cooed a little, then we both hung up feeling very good inside. I had an hour to kill, so I decided to get a little fresh air. I was half a block from my office building when a whole ounce of imported perfume floated out of a doorway. It circled around a while and finally settled over my eyes. What I could see through the haze would have caused any airline pilot to come in for an emergency landing. And even though I don't fly myself, I put the flaps down and kind of slowed up a little.
Why, Mr. Diamond, I do believe you're staring.
Oh, sorry. Do I know you, please?
No, Mr. Diamond, it isn't that good. And of course you know me.
Oh, I do, huh? Oh, sure, I remember now. Monte Carlo, wasn't it? Only you were a blonde then, with the moonlight behind you, making a halo for your lovely head, and I'm just ad-libbing, so get me out of this. Who are you, lady?
Sandra Browning. And it wasn't Monte Carlo. Come on, I'll buy you a drink and refresh your memory.
All right. But I hope we can cover everything in an hour. There's quite a bit of you to cover, isn't there?
Heaps. Much too much to run through in an hour. You're working on a case, then?
The luck of Ricky Diamond. Yes, Miss Browning, I am in the midst of what my client calls a caper. Go on the payroll at 1 o'clock.
I see. And, just who is your client, Ricky?
We were going to talk about you, remember?
Oh, but I'm so dull, Mr. Diamond, and you're so fascinating.
True, yes.
This place look all right?
Fine.
Intimate, isn't it, Mr. Diamond?
Oh. Say, just how well do we know each other?
Can't you tell?
Honey, right now I probably could even tell you my name. And, I'm beginning to need that drink more and more. Shall we go mingle with those strangers? Stranger? As we walked over to a table, I shook my head a few times to clear it and get out of the danger zone of the perfume. I knew I'd never seen Miss Browning before. No, not that I've led a sheltered life, but something like her only happens once, and it usually costs an awful lot of money. Money I've never had. So, naturally, the same applied to Miss Browning. So, with renewed vigor and a firm grip on my wallet, I sat down beside her.
Cozy?
Too cozy. I'm a sort of a wide-open spaces man myself, and a couple of martinis. George?
George.
Now, about you, Miss B. Where was it our paths first crossed?
No, Mr. D, I've changed my mind. I'm going to make you guess. It'll be more fun that way.
Oh, and it will also be a long winter. Now, if we're going to get anything accomplished, maybe you better start talking. An hour goes pretty fast.
What happens in an hour that's so terribly important, Mr. Diamond?
A guess.
I don't want to guess. I want you to tell me.
You know, we may run out of things to talk about in a minute now.
Not if you tell me what I want to know.
Mm-mm.
All right, so I'll take a guess. Does this case have anything to do with, say, a bank?
Well, you tell me. Does it have something to do with, say, a bank?
You're fighting me, Mr. Diamond.
Who's fighting who? All I'm trying to find out is whether...
You're going to wish, Mr. Diamond, that you had talked to me.
Well. Conversation seems to have picked up a little. But we might as well save your breath, Sandra. I ain't talking and you ain't talking.
So, if you'll excuse me, I have to make a telephone call.
All of which left me with still a half hour to kill. I paid the check and then dropped by the 5th Precinct to say hello to Walt Levinson. He was sleeping, so I tiptoed back out and headed for the corner of 1st and Elm. I'd been there about 5 minutes when a guy whose face looked vaguely familiar came up and said...
Excuse me, is this a bus stop?
No, but there's a cab stand a block down the street.
Oh, thanks. I might have stood here for 3 days.
How's that?
I saw you waiting around, so I figured it was a bus stop. Guess I'll have to take a cab now. Say, if you're waiting for one, maybe we can split the fare?
No, thanks. Funny. I'd swear you were hanging around the 5th Precinct when I came out.
Oh? How long ago?
About 15 minutes.
Well, come to think of it, it's possible that you did. I went in to pay a traffic fine. Yeah.
Is that right? Speeding, was it?
Yes, as a matter of fact, it was. Those things do happen, you know.
Oh, yes. Of course, the really interesting part about all this is that the 5th Precinct doesn't accept traffic fines.
Huh?
You have to go all the way downtown to pay them.
You're kind of a smart aleck, aren't you?
Oh, yes. Life of the party. Just give me a lampshade and a bustle, and I'm a... Hey, what's the idea? A car spun around the corner just as the guy shoved me. I landed in the street, but rolled over in time to see the front door open and a body come spilling out, sliding to a stop against the curb. The guy with the phony ticket hopped on the running board, and the blue Essex sedan lost itself in the uptown traffic. Now, all I could do was sit there and look at the crumbled form lying in the gutter. Mr. Thomas Walker had given me a check for $300. That was to last until Monday. For Mr. Walker, Monday was just 2 days too many.
March 28, 1952, Richard Diamond, Private Detective on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more Richard Diamond, Private Detective, March 28, 1952.
And now, back to Richard Diamond, Private Detective, starring Dick Powell.
They abandoned the car about 4 blocks down the street, Rick. Too bad you didn't get a look at the guy behind the wheel.
Everything happened too fast, Walt.
Yeah. You feel all right now?
Yeah, just swell.
I guess the idea of all this is that somebody figured you and Walker knew too much.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense either, Rick. You said Walker wouldn't tell you a thing.
No, but he gave me $300. Between now and Monday, I'm going to try to earn it.
I could use the help. You got any idea who was gunning for him?
No, not exactly. But whoever it was kept pretty close tabs. He was followed to my office.
He tell you that? Then how do you know?
Well, indirectly, a girl named Sandra Browning did. She said something else that's kind of kicking around in the back of my head, too.
Sandra Browning. Oh, that's the brunette you told me about?
Yeah, she seemed to think Walker said something to me about a bank.
But he didn't.
No, but that's what makes it so interesting. Oh, drop me off at that drugstore, will you, Walt? I want to look up a phone number.
Sandra?
A fellow named Joseph Carter.
Who's he?
Supposed to be a chemist. Walker told me about him. Oh, thanks for the lift, Fatty. If anything happens, I'll get in touch with you. Mr. Carter?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Well, I'm a private detective. May I come in? I'd like to talk to you.
You, mean about my wife, Mr.
Diamond.
Oh.
Richard Diamond. What about your wife, Mr. Carter?
Well, nothing. I merely supposed. I mean, after all, you said you were a private detective.
Oh, yes, but I don't handle divorce cases, Mr. Carter.
Oh, I see. Then what...
I just want to ask you a couple of questions about a plumber named Walker. Thomas Walker. Do you know him?
A plumber? Now, that's strange. Mr. Walker called me on the phone this morning and asked me to meet him for lunch. He said it was important to me that I be there.
Were you?
Well, yes, I was. That is, I was at the appointed place at the proper hour, but this Mr. Walker never did make an appearance.
Oh, I see. You said this Mr. Walker. Does that mean you didn't know him?
Not to my knowledge. The voice didn't register and the name wasn't familiar. This is very interesting, Mr. Diamond. Would you like some coffee? I'll ring for the house.
No, thanks. If you didn't know Walker, Mr. Carter, why did you agree to have lunch with him?
Well, for several reasons. As I told you, he said it was important to me, and since I was going to be downtown anyway...
That isn't good enough, Mr. Carter.
Well, I'm afraid I don't understand.
Thomas Walker was killed less than an hour ago. You say you were supposed to have lunch with him. That puts you in a suspicious position.
Yes, I see. So that's what this is about. How did you get my name, Mr. Diamond?
Oh, that isn't important. What I want to know is why you agreed to have lunch with someone you didn't even know.
Well, this Walker fellow, he said some things over the phone.
What kind of things?
About my wife. He said it would be to my advantage to meet him and discuss it. Under these circumstances, I had nothing to lose, so I agreed.
Under what circumstances?
Well, you see, Mr. Diamond, my wife and I are, well, we're drifting apart.
Mm-hmm.
She's been seen with another man, a fellow named Dave Johnson.
Dave Johnson? Who's he?
Chap I sold my shop to when I retired last month. He and...
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know you had company. Oh.
Well, come in. Come in, Sandra. We were just...
No, I won't disturb you. Go right ahead.
Oh, yes. Come in.
This is my wife, Sandra. Come in, dear. Come in.
I'd rather not.
Oh, it's all right. I was leaving anyway. Come right in, Mrs. Carter, isn't it?
Lieutenant Levinson.
Anything break, Fatty?
Nothing but my head. I've been doing some thinking, Rick.
Well, since you've already pulled the punchline, go ahead.
What? Oh, look, Rick, you said this Sandra Browning.
Carter. Browning's a phony.
You know, someday you're going to meet a girl that gives you a right name and you won't know how to react. That's the trouble with guys.
As soon as you have finished the discourse, Fatty, we can get back to the plot. What have you been thinking?
Well, you said that this Miss Carter...
It's Mrs. Carter, Walt.
Will you stop that? I don't care if it's Mrs. Whippertiffle. I want to know what she said. She did say something about a bank, didn't she?
She did?
Yeah, and you said something about a guy named Joseph Carter who was a chemist.
Walt, so help me. If you tell me they're married, I'll throw this phone from here to the 5th precinct.
You do, and you'll never find out the startling news I'm about to unfold.
All right, unfold.
It's better. On the corner of 1st and Elm, on the very corner where you nearly met your demise, there is a bank.
That's very interesting.
You're darn tootin'. Right next door to this bank is a small shop with a sign painted on the window. Pretty good sign, too. Somebody took a lot of pains with it.
Walt,
All right. Maybe it doesn't mean anything, but the sign says Carter Chemistry Corporation.
Oh, that's what you've been thinking about.
Yeah. Only now it's even more interesting because of this Sandra Browning Carter girl. It's a definite connection.
Uh-huh. With Walker, the plumber, making the connection. Well, thanks, Walt, and, bye.
Oh,
Hello? I'm looking for Mr. Carter. Is he in?
ain't nobody here but me, and I'm getting ready to leave.
Closing up a little early, aren't you? It's only 4 o'clock. Oh, I see you're doing a little repair work in the back of the shop there.
Yeah, I had a little explosion in here a couple of days ago.
Oh, must have ripped up a little plumbing down that close to the floor.
Yeah, we're getting it fixed up. Sorry to rush out like this, buddy, but you know how it is. Friday afternoon, weekend coming up, you know.
Oh, yes. Well, when you see Mr. Carter, just tell him Horace Crutchmeyer was in to see him. He'll understand.
Horace, well, tell you the truth, Horace, Mr. Carter don't come around here no more. He's retired. Sold out everything, lock, stock, and test tube.
Oh, is that so? Well, I'll get in touch with him at home. See you.
Yeah, see ya, Horace.
this could turn out kind of silly, Rick. What if they don't show up?
Oh, they'll show, Fatty. I checked the floor plan of both buildings. Got it figured they'll break through about here.
How many of them do you think there'll be?
Just 3. If they knocked off Walker because he got suspicious, they won't cut anybody else in.
Is Carter in on this, Rick? It's his chemistry shop, isn't it?
No, not anymore. He sold out to a guy named Dave Johnson. You'll meet him as soon as they blast the ball out.
And the one I'm anxious to meet is this Sandra Browning Carter. Sounds like quite a dish.
Not my type, Walt. I like him a little more tender.
For March 28, 1952, Dick Powell as Richard Diamond, private detective. The conclusion follows these messages from your favorite station. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite station. Now the conclusion of Richard Diamond, Private Detective, March 28, 1952.
What's the other guy's name, the one who shoved Walker out of the car?
Don't know yet. I met him at the shop this afternoon. Well, you'll like him, too. He's got sort of an ingrown face.
You know, you gotta hand it to him, Rick. It's a pretty slick stunt they're pulling. Buying the shop next door to a bank, digging through the wall, and...
Shh. There they are, Walt. Maybe we'd better get over here.
Right.
What'd I tell you? Ever see anything so easy in your life?
Dave, does he have to keep talking? Can't you make him
Look,
keep
both of you knock it off and let's get busy, huh? We've only got till tomorrow morning.
Hit the lights, Rick.
Okay.
Hey,
Well.
Why, you...
Now, play it smart. We don't want to carry anyone out of here.
Oh, is this the bank you were talking about, Sandra? Still not talking, huh?
She doesn't look like much to me, Rick.
Now, Walt, don't be catty. Remember, she's been a very busy girl.
Mm-hmm. Well, now that they're broken into this kind of work, I guess they won't mind it so much for the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
But, Rick? Why did Walker want you to follow Joseph Carter? He didn't have anything to do with this, did he?
No, but Walker thought he did. He tumbled to what was going on when he went in to repair the plumbing. Naturally, he figured Carter was behind it. Ain't I getting smarter as the months go by?
And speaking of months going by...
Yes, dear?
It will soon be June, you know.
June? Oh, now there's a month to conjure with.
Oh, do you mean it, Rick?
Well, sure, June must be about my favorite. Let's see now. Don't I know a song with June in it?
Oh, Rick.
Let's see. June. Kind of a strange name to me, but, well, this might do it. Oh, it's a long, long while from May to December, but the days grow short when you reach September. When the autumn weather turns the leaves to flame, one hasn't got time for the waiting game. Oh, the days tumble down to a precious few. September, November, These few precious days I'll spend with you. These precious days I'll spend with you.
Why, you faker, you. There wasn't a single June anywhere in that song.
Come to think of it, there wasn't.
You want to try again?
I guess not.
Something else you'd rather do?
Honey, what an opening that is. Come here.
Now, that's what I've been waiting for. More.
More?
More?
Honey, stop. If this keeps up, I won't be able to hold off till June.
Tonight's adventure of Richard Diamond was written by Ty Cobb with music by Frank Worth. Virginia Gregg was heard as Helen Asher and Alan Reed as Lieutenant Walt Levinson. Others in the cast were Bob Griffin, Joyce Manners, Sidney Miller, and Jim Backus. Richard Diamond, Private Detective, is transcribed in Hollywood by Jaime Del Valle. America is sold on the American Broadcasting Company.
Not bad for an old song and dance man becoming a private investigator. Dick Powell, Richard Diamond, Private Detective, March 28, 1952, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Let's close out this hour of crime drama with part 3 of the 5-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Lamarr Matter. This episode was originally broadcast March 28, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Johnny, this is Vonnie.
Oh, yes?
Please, come out here to the house, right away.
Is something wrong?
Johnny, you said you came back here to South Bend to... Well, because you didn't want me to have to be alone to face the death of my father.
Yes, dear,
Johnny, you also said you have business here.
Well, yes.
Is it connected with my father's death?
Vonnie.
Please, dear, don't lie to me. He was insured for over $1 million. Or do you know that?
Listen.
Was this business of yours connected with Daddy? Was it because you, too, think he was murdered? Johnny?
I'll come out and see you.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar. To the Home Office, Universal Adjustment Bureau, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, the Lamarr Matter. The question, was it murder? The beautiful girl, Vonnie Lamarr, and the beautiful romance I found during my so-called vacation at La Jolla, California. Well, things really got into a bind when she received news that her foster father back in South Bend, Indiana, had suddenly died. And I received word that I was assigned to the case. Not only because of the $1.5 million policy on Lamar's life, but because it looked as though it might be nothing more nor less than murder. From La Jolla, California to South Bend, Indiana was only a quick flight by plane, and the first person I contacted was Lawrence Comstock of Tri-Mutual, Chicago office, who'd issued the policies on Lamar's life.
Yes, Johnny, the only two real friends Thomas Lamarr had these past few years since his wife died were Dr. Ed Wilson and myself.
And Wilson is the man you called in when Lamarr died.
Yes, you see, Tom and I used to spend a lot of time together. Weekend golf, belonged to the same clubs, that sort of thing. We used to love playing two-handed pinochle together.
Uh-huh. Go on.
I was with him at his house the night he died. And so unexpectedly, Johnny, as I told you, he'd had a most thorough physical examination only a few months before, or I'd never have permitted him to increase his insurance to $1.5 million.
Must have cost him a fancy premium.
It did. It did. Prohibitive. But that was the way he wanted it. For his adopted daughter. For Vonnie. whom you know. And if you're half a man, having spent a few days with her in La Jolla, you're in love.
Oh, shut up and tell me what you know, will you? You said murder.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Johnny. It began last weekend. As I often do, I spent the weekend with Thomas Lamarr. Well, Friday night, Dr. Ed Wilson was with us. We played three-handed pinochle.
Yes, yes.
Tom was in perfect health. I know he was. And our evening was all fun, completely uninterrupted. Except by young Marson.
Marson?
Tom's confidential secretary. And he's the one.
Larry, you are the one who told Pat McCracken back in Hartford that you thought Thomas Lamarr was murdered. That's why you wanted me to come on out here to investigate the case.
Yes.
All right, now tell me the truth. Is it because of your great friendship for Lamarr? Because of the $1.5 million policy through your company? Or because you really think he was murdered?
Are you here because of the commission you can earn on a case as big as this? Or because Thomas Lamarr happened to be the father of Vonnie Lamarr?
I was ordered on this case from Hartford.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
All right. Now, maybe I'm a silly old fuddy-duddy. Maybe I'm more worked up over this case than you are, whatever the reason. But let me tell you this thing in my own way.
Go on, Larry.
Well, we know, Ed Wilson and I because of being so close to Tom Lamarr so long, Ed because of his medical knowledge. We know that Tom was in perfect health. His 59 years were nothing for a specimen like him. Ed left Friday night. I stayed on. Saturday, we played 9 holes of golf. Tom wanted to play 18, but I didn't feel up to it. And that night, we played pinochle. Just the two of us. And we got to bed early. Well, Sunday, we just sat around and talked until evening when we played cards again. There was no strain, Johnny, even if the man had had a bad heart or something.
I understand. Now, what about this Marson you named?
We quit shortly before midnight. I was tired, my years, no doubt. And I knew Tom would have a hard day at the plant on Monday. And so I suggested we get to bed. He smiled, as only Tom could smile. A warm, tolerant, yet at the same time understanding and friendly, completely friendly smile.
Go on.
And he said he'd probably have to take one of Ed Wilson's sleeping pills to doze off so early. But I knew, Johnny.
You knew what?
Sugar pills. That's all Ed had ever given him. Sugar pills. I think Tom knew it, too.
Well?
I went up to my room, Tom to his. I heard the water running in his bathroom. About the same time, I was brushing my teeth. And then the crash.
Crash?
Yes. I ran out through the hall to his room. He was lying on the floor of the bath, broken tumbler beside him. He left the bottle of sugar pills still open.
He'd taken one of them?
Yes. And he was dead.
You mean you think...
No, I called Ed Wilson. He was there in only minutes. It was he who officially said that Tom was dead. Had died instantaneously. And he was sure it was poison. Peculiar color of the lips or something.
What do you mean?
It was some terrible stimulant to the heart. A very rare drug that only a few researchers would know about. Even the heart of a young and healthy boy would find the influence of this drug too much, too strong.
Dr. Wilson told you this?
Yes.
What is this?
I don't know. Something very rare. But he is sure that's what did it.
Well, what did the police say? You called them in, didn't you?
Ed did. They'd never heard of it either, the drug. But they've sent samples of the sugar pills to Chicago and to Washington for analysis.
Well?
We should hear from them shortly.
Where is this Dr. Ed Wilson?
Oh, here, I'll just write you his address.
Good, thanks. All right now, Larry.
Yes?
You told me earlier there was one man you thought might be responsible for this. Who?
Walter Marson.
Who's Walter Marson?
Walter has been Thomas Lamarr's personal private secretary for some years.
Go on.
And Walter has been married to LaVon for over a year. Oh, I'm sorry, Johnny, because I know how you feel about her.
Well, why should that make him want to murder Vonnie's father?
Because of Thomas's will. Tom made a will, Johnny, that left virtually everything he owned to the corporation of which he was the head, except for his life insurance.
Is that why the amount of his insurance was so big?
I suppose so. The sole beneficiary of the policy, as you know, is Vonnie.
Oh, go on.
Therefore, the only way in which anyone else could share in the estate is by being married to her.
All right. You've knocked down a couple of dream castles for me. And I'm not talking about a family fortune. I'm talking about a girl.
Yes, John, I understand.
If she loved him enough to marry him, let him be happy. If he shares some of that $1.5 million, so let him share it. He deserves to, if she wants him to. He married her, she married him, all right.
It isn't as easy as that.
What do you mean?
You've forgotten you wanted to know why I think Walter Marson murdered Thomas Lamarr. Yes. Yes, you see, I happen to know Vonnie did not love Walter.
You just said she married him.
Unknown to her foster father.
What are you getting at?
Somewhere along the line, Walter Marson, shall we say, got something on Vonnie. What it was, I don't know. But he had a strange power over her, it seemed.
Larry, what are you talking about?
I don't know, Johnny. From the time Walter first started working for Thomas Lamarr, I didn't trust him. And yet Tom seemed to have the most implicit faith in him. Walter was a good accountant, yes, handled many of Tom's personal investments, and handled them very well, too. Thomas paid him very well, rewarded him, always, when he made unusual profits.
Why not?
But Walter Marson made it plain from the beginning that he wanted to work his way into Thomas's shoes in the corporation, and this Thomas would not have.
And the reason?
Because Thomas knew that many of the stock deals Walter had made in his behalf were not completely, shall we say, legitimate, or legally proper, perhaps, but not morally so, that is.
Corporation money instead of his own, maybe.
Yeah, that's it. Buying huge blocks in order to inflate the price, and then dumping the stocks at their peak, that sort of thing. I don't know much of the details. That's out of my line. But Thomas knew very well that if Walter Marson were ever put into the corporation, he'd use the same slick methods for purely personal gain. At the expense of the corporation he'd spent his life building up.
How do you know about this?
I was Thomas's confidant, his closest friend.
All right, Larry. Let me do a little summing up. Walter Marson failed to dig into Lamarr's money via the corporation, so he married his daughter to be sure of latching on to the family fortune. And that's it.
Yes, it's as simple as that.
Therefore, you're sure this Marson poisoned Lamarr?
Yes, and because of the findings of Dr. Ed Wilson.
Which haven't yet been verified.
Well, no.
And even if you do find proof that Lamarr was poisoned, you have no proof that Marson was back of it.
No.
Larry, what if Vonnie had something to do with it?
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. That's a real possibility, isn't it?
Good heavens, Johnny, you can't mean that. You say you know the girl.
Yeah, sure. And I fell for her like a ton of bricks. Whether it's simply because I'm a sucker for such a charmer or just because she charmed me so well, I don't know. But why did she want me if she's already married?
Johnny, what are you getting at?
$1 million at stake. $1.5 million. How she could possibly have known I'd be staying at the La Crescenta in La Jolla, California, I don't know. But with $1.5 million at stake, you could find out most anything. So she worked on me, got me on her side, even before she needed to. And when her father died, according to plan, she knew there'd be no question of settlement of a claim for the insurance because of the way she'd so successfully drawn me into a cozy little noose.
Johnny, you're out of your mind.
Am I? What are you talking about, you old... Yeah, I guess I am.
John, I've been a confirmed bachelor all my life, even before I was your age. But I know very well that if I'd ever met Vonnie Lamarr, my bachelor days would have suddenly ended. Oh, you're hurt. Now that you've found out she's married, you're hurt and you're angry. You're striking out at anything you can reach, anyone. And I'm sorry. Don't let it take away your judgment.
I'm sorry, too, Larry. I didn't mean to... I really didn't...
It's all right, Johnny. But now get hold of yourself. You have a job to do, not only for me, for the company, but for yourself.
Okay, Larry, thanks.
Good boy.
I don't know what I'm going to do, but I guess whatever it is, I better start doing it.
Yes. Good luck, Johnny.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow? Well, it doesn't take long to find out what has to be done on this case, because the turning point in the whole thing comes straight to me, and with a vengeance. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. It is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone, who also wrote tonight's story. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
March 28, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Thank this station and support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time you roll around here on your favorite station. If you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me, find our social media links, and if you'd like to support us, you can buy me a coffee. That buy me a coffee money goes toward maintaining our distribution channels and helping us acquire additional classic radio collections. That's buy me a coffee at classicradio.stream. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.